Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, LinkedIn. Good afternoon, YouTube as well. We're live there as well. So today, well, first of all, I'm going to do things right and I'm going to introduce myself. Please do the same. Use the comment box to introduce yourself if you want. I'm Virginia Cinquemani. I'm the author of Sustainable, How to Find Success as a Sustainability Professional in a Rapidly Changing World. But I'm also the owner and founder of Green Gorilla Consultants Ltd, which is a training and coaching company focused entirely on sustainability professionals and helping them to find a voice. So that's me. Today is one of my live broadcasts, which I do more or less weekly. Well, no, I do it weekly, actually. I've been quite good at that, keeping the schedule. And I call this series Unleash Your Green Gorilla because I want you guys, sustainability professionals who are aspiring so, to really unleash your green gorilla. So find the purpose and the meaning in your jobs and have that voice and make your opinion count. So today I was inspired to talk about by Delphine, who is a young practitioner who has a master in environmental studies, I believe. Hello, Delphine, if you're there. She asked me to answer some questions, and I thought, why don't I do that live so that more people can enjoy the answers, you know, and use them. Hello, Anna. Welcome. So I'll try and answer the questions that Delphine has asked me. They're also published in the event, so you can see them. And I received also another question, but please, by any means, feel free to ask me more questions about early careers in sustainability. So for easiness for everyone, I'm going to actually show the questions on the screen as they come along. Okay. So first of all, I hope everyone is fine. Everyone is, you know, doing what they can in these troubled times. But, you know, these questions are even more interesting because of the times we're living. But, you know, I'll try and answer in, you know, for what I think, of course, is not the gospel or anything, but is what I think. So what is my educational background? Would you say the university prepared you well to become a sustainability practitioner? The straight answer is no. So my educational background, I studied architecture back in Italy in, you know, a couple of decades ago, for maybe more. And I loved it. When I did it, I absolutely loved it. The difficulty there was that, especially the Italian university, was very theoretical. So it didn't give me skills that I could actually use in the practice. And that was one of the reasons why at the end, when I started working as an architect, I got completely disenchanted with architecture, although I absolutely loved it while I was studying. I did really, really well. So that's my background. I'm a technical person by training, but I love psychology. I have studied, you know, different ways the human brain for the last, I don't know how many years. I'm a firm believer of self-development. So that's how I ended up being a coach and training people on all the other skills that they need to become successful in sustainability. The university hasn't prepared me well, because we are talking about 20 years ago when sustainability wasn't a thing. But I got to say, it gave me inspiration. Both the degree that I did in Italy in architecture and my master's degree in the UK, I did at Oxford Brookes, which was on energy efficient and sustainable buildings. We're talking many years ago, guys, nearly 20 years ago for the master's and much more for the first degree. And sustainability was in its infancy. So it really didn't give me much information in that sense. It was a lot of, oh, if you don't know this, Google it. That was the, you know, the beginning. That was my master's degree. I heard that a lot of times because not even the teachers knew what the answers were. But it gave me that curiosity. And I always say that my friend Mario, hello, Mario. I don't know whether you're looking at me today and see me today. Mario used to be one of my tutors in my university course in Italy in architecture, and he was a complete pioneer of bioarchitecture, as it was called at that time, so sustainable architecture back in Italy then. And he gave me that, love for sustainability. So that's how, his visionary lessons really made me see a different way of doing architecture that wasn't the traditional way that we were taught. So definitely gave me inspiration, not much in the sense of preparation. I had to do all of that by myself in my own spare time. I'm going to answer the questions that are coming up towards the end, if that's okay, because I got a packed schedule of questions that Delphine kindly sent me. So, right. Next question is there any achievement that you're particularly proud of? Which impact did it have on society and environment? That's a great question. I'm very proud of having put together my own business at a time in which I didn't know what a business was, literally. I thought like, okay, that fits my needs in terms of family. I want to do my own thing because I was tired of, I was frustrated more than anything. I'm a passionate person, as you can see probably. And working in a corporation wasn't fast enough and quick enough for me to make change in the world. So there was a bit of that, bit of needs and bit of, wanted to make a difference, and I'm very proud of having that by myself. Very little means as well, and in particular, I'm proud of my book because I published it last year, and it's self-published, which doesn't mean that it's any less difficult to do. In fact, if anything, it's more difficult to self-publish. But it's a niche book, so I think that was the right way of going about this. And I hope all of my work, the content of my book, as well as the courses that I deliver, the coaching that I do, have a positive impact on the environment. That's the ethos of Green Gorilla. And of course, I'm the director and founder, so I decide what the ethos is. The vision is I want to make sustainability a no-brainer for everyone. The way we do this at Green Gorilla is by teaching sustainability professionals how to speak with impact, how to become stronger in their profession so that can make that impact and that transition towards a world where sustainability is a no-brainer. I hope that's a good answer for you. Next question is, how would you describe a successful career in sustainability? What can a student aspire to? As another fantastic question. So let's go to that. Success is a very personal thing. Some people think of success in terms of money. Some people think of success in terms of legacy and what you leave to the world. For me, I learned to identify my success measure with Ikigai. So the combination of what I'm good at, what I am passionate about, what the world needs, and what they're ready to pay. If I can manage to have all of this, so I have, satisfaction from my work, I do my work well, I help the world progress, in terms of sustainability, and I get paid for that to support my lifestyle, that's perfect. For me, that's success. But of course, it can be different from you. And so a student can aspire to make a difference, I would say, in the sustainability world, but even in general, meaning is one of the key components for a successful career. You need to really find meaning. And again, that's your definition of meaning. In order to feel fulfilled, not just in terms of giving to others, but also for yourself. Maybe meaning means that you use your skills to the top of your abilities, and that's part of that. So I think success is relative to every person. I would encourage you to explore the Ikigai concept and see how can you make it yours. So what are you good at? Ask yourself, what are you good at? And what are you passionate about? What are you curious about? I'm going to talk about curiosity a bit more later. And what the world needs and how can you contribute to that need? And would they be happy to pay you for that? Because money is part of it. And I know that in sustainability, we sort of rejected the concept of money, but it's very important. I read a book recently called Profit First, which is a great book if you're starting a business venture. So I suggest it to you if you want to do that. But there was a phrase that really, really got me, that was caught my attention, was money amplifies who you are. So I assume if you're a good person, then money will amplify that goodness in you. You can do a lot of things, and you can donate the money, you can create beautiful things and beautiful initiatives. But if you're a bad person, then of course you can use it in the wrong way. So I see money now as a means to an end, a means to actually make better, the world better around me. Okay, let me get to some of the questions, otherwise they're gonna go. Oh my God, I got lots already. Hello, Michael. I hope industry will soon on board, and yeah, I hope so too. Jay says, I'm a master's student in environmental governance from the University of Manchester with strong qualifications, but no specific work experience in the environmental sector. I cannot break through into the environmental sector because of this, but also find it hard getting opportunities to get experience. So what do I do? Now, this is actually in line with a question that I was going to answer at the end, but since I read it out, I'm going to answer it now, and it was by Mark. Mark also asked before, if you don't have that technical knowledge, that technical level, what do you do? The immediate answer is you can do two things. One is think about all your transferable skills. So if you, for example, I mean, in the case of Jay, he is a master's student in environmental governance, so there is some technical knowledge there. But if you don't have any technical knowledge, think about what you do really well. Maybe even if you're working in a supermarket, it doesn't really matter. What are the skills that are transferable? Can you, for example, demonstrate that you are reliable, that you can be trusted, that you're very well organized? All of this are transferable skills, that you're a good communicator or a customer service oriented. All of these things are super important. And remember, the CV is a marketing document, so you can actually curate it in a way that highlights the good bits about you. So I would say rethink about your past experiences, even during the university years. What did you do that you were good at that you could use in your next stage of life and career? And think about that when you write your CV. The other thing is volunteering. Plenty of NGOs and so non-for-profit and charities that need help by skilled people. Volunteering is a great way to increase your experience, and of course you don't get paid for it. So obviously you need to, do you have to have an interim job while you are doing your experience, as a volunteer? But then at least he exposes you to the world that you want to work in. There are lots of environmental charities around. And in the meantime, you're developing your skills, but you are enlarging your network, which is a very, very important thing to do while you are waiting to find the perfect job. So networking in any possible way. Lots of online free events at the moment that you can network in. Use LinkedIn to the best of your abilities to catch up and hook up with people that you admire and people that you think that can help you or add value to your life. Volunteer, or maybe apply for an internship. Again, not paid, but or sometimes, but at least you will get experience. And the other thing is, of course, if there are any certificates that you can do online at the moment, or anything that you think will bring you closer to the career that you want to have, that's also something that to consider. So not a straight answer, unfortunately, but there are several things you can do in order to get closer to that perfect career of yours. Okay, so let's move on with our question. So we talked about success. Let's talk now, how would you describe the job market in the sustainability sector? Do you know about its weaknesses and its strengths? Now, when we talk about sustainability sector, we're talking about enormous amount of things. Okay, sustainability goes through everything from the private sector to the public sector, from food to infrastructure, fashion, architecture, everything, right? Everything can be sustainable or not sustainable, and there are products and services in all of these things. So knowing the sustainability sector at large is pretty is a tall order. But what I can tell you is that I've seen things changing throughout my career from when I started, when again it was something for tree huggers and crazy people that didn't didn't eat meat, which I do anyway. I don't. Sorry, I don't eat meat. But the thing is, sustainability right now has changed drastically. So the world is a lot more ready for sustainability. Now, while I was thinking how to prepare this question and this answer, I researched a little bit about the trends, which I think are important for you guys to focus your attention on what is going to be big in the next couple of years. So obviously sustainability is a lot more in the news. I think the pivotal point was when the IPCC report in 2018 told us that we had only 12 years to fix the climate, which was pretty scary news, but it also ignited a lot of like a chain reaction. Lots of young people have started reacting to this. They got scared. Unfortunately, some of you and people got really anxious about it, and it's obviously there is an element of that. But all of this and Greta Thunberg have helped governments to think really hard about this. So lots of governments now have targets for net zero carbon. The UK has it for 2050. And that, although at the moment there are no clear plans, I mean, obviously Boris Johnson a few months ago has announced a 10-point plan. There are not defined plans, but we are nudging towards it. Now, there are signs that the sustainability sector is growing. One thing is, for example, Joe Biden has been elected, and immediately the first day he was elected and he went into power, he signed the Paris Agreement. So he's back in the Paris Agreement. And that is fantastic news because America is a big emitter of CO2 emissions, which means, it's a big signal to the world that this is important now, is one of the main things that are going to happen in the future. So for all of us in sustainability, this is fantastic news. But then there are other signs that the sector is growing. Measuring carbon impact is becoming a thing. In 2023, the UK is going to start measuring companies against their carbon impact as well as their performance and everything else. So that is a fantastic news. This is fantastic news. Solar power right now is the cheapest electricity in history. That means, I don't know if you heard that, last year BP sold his oil business. I mean, it's BP, British Petroleum. So the big oil companies are diverting from fossil fuels towards solar and other renewable energy and energy sources. We've seen the electric vehicle market rocketing in the last couple of years. So all of these are fantastic news. All of this will come with challenges. Don't get me wrong. It's not like all unicorns and and fairies, but it's already, the world is moving towards that. And other good news: artificial intelligence, digital, are making monitoring more easier, transforming data, analyzing, automation, and all of this, which actually are good jobs for those of you that have an analytical mind and want to work in an analyst job. So renewable energies, analyst jobs, anything to do with strategy and strategizing for companies and reshape the way they think. So, for example, we know in sustainability, we know that infinite growth is impossible. It's not something that is possible. It's a myth that was put together by economists, 150 years ago or something, or maybe less. Infinite growth is impossible. So now companies have to reinvent themselves, and they need the people with a strategic mind and a sustainable mind to help them do that. And so achieve, being within the donut, if you're familiar with the concept of the donut economics, keep the growth going so that you can keep producing and feeding people, etc., but also not impacting on the environment and even be climate positive. So all of this needs actually brains, not necessarily just machines. Circular economy is another thing that it will become really big in the next couple of years. So most people in the supply chain industry believe that this is the next thing coming. And of course, ESG metrics, so environmental, social and governance metrics, reporting and investing have accelerated hugely. Another fantastic news was just before Christmas, Donald Trump opened up the sale of certain areas of the Arctic for fracking, so for drilling. And the Bank of America refused to lend money to companies that would do that. That means if investors are not going to lend money to operations that are going to harm the environment, this is fantastic news. You know, companies have to reinvent themselves in that sense. Biodiversity is another big thing. Thank goodness is starting to attract the right attention as well. So lots of opportunities, lots of things that need to be done, but the future is looking a lot brighter than I think most people would think. Let me see. Let me move on to, another thing that we need to take into consideration. Of course, at the moment, we're all a bit depressed because of the pandemic. But think about that. It's like when you invest your money. If you invest your money, you know that like in stock and shares and that sort of thing, you know that it's pointless to invest your money today and taking it out to the market tomorrow, next month, because the market will go up and down, up and down, up and down. But if you analyze the market in a long term, in the long term type of vision, 20 years, for example, you will see the market grows. Okay, the value of your money grows, even though it goes up and down, up and down. So the pandemic, I'm really hoping it's just a little down, but then the market in sustainability is growing in that sense. And that doesn't mean necessarily, it means a lot more opportunities. That's what I'm saying. So stick with it. Don't worry about the pandemic. Of course, if you're looking for a job, by any means, try and fill the gap in whichever way you can, but don't feel disheartened, because the sustainability market is a big market and is growing. Okay, I hope that helps. Right. Next. Would you say that jobs in sustainability are still limited to giving a good image to companies rather than actually contributing to sustainable development? What do you think about greenwashing? Okay, right, guys. Greenwashing is there because people are getting interested in sustainability. Think about that as well. That's a big reason why the market is growing, that the public is more aware of plastic and energy and all of these things. That means the companies are rushing to say, oh yeah, my products are sustainable, So in a way it's good news, because the market is waking up to sustainability and there is demand. On the other hand, of course, there are unsubstantiated claims that everything is green, everything is painted green right now. Okay, so we need to be really careful when we read the labels. We need to, as consumers. However, there is a mixture, I would say. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the EU is coming up with some regulations to control greenwashing in marketing. So that's really good news, because they're going to come up with systems to avoid that, false claims based on sustainability. So I think, of course, greenwashing is there because people want to sell more, and that's sort of human nature. It's not great, it's not ethical, but it's there. So I think lots of companies are jumping on the bandwagon, and that's part of the market and the commercial, the economic world. At the same time, in this sector, there are lots and lots of individuals, especially, that really want to do the right thing. In time, I would say these more rigorous measures to control sustainability in products will come to fruition. So in time, hopefully, the greenwashing is going to be less of an issue. In the meantime, yes, of course, lots of companies are using it as a way to do marketing, which is wrong. But if you are passionate about it, if you are passionate about sustainability, just make sure when you look for a job that your company, the company you are going to work for, have actually the means to demonstrate that they are sustainable. I actually made that mistake many years ago. One of my first jobs in architecture was for a company that claimed that they did sustainable design. And when I got in there, I actually realized they didn't do any of this, but they thought it was cool to put on the website. So be very careful in that sense. Okay, I got maybe another couple of questions, and then I'm going to go to the questions in the chat, if that's okay. Now, next question is, why do you think companies adapt their strategies today? Is it due to taxes, marketing, or a genuine interest in CSR? So similarly to what we just said about marketing, companies are jumping onto the sustainability bandwagon for any sort of reasons. Could be CSR because it's part of them looking good in front of the customers. It could be marketing. It could be to sell more. It could be because they get maybe the taxes get easier, etc. There is a mixture. And in a way, it follows some form of natural laws of mass behavior. So at the moment, there is a big chaos in that sense. It's the new opportunity. And then, and at the beginning it was strange. It was crazy to be sustainable. People were pointed at, we were like the pioneers and the tree huggers, and we were crazy and a bit hippie. And now we are coming towards the mass of this. So companies are realizing it's important because they're going to lose customers. They're going to lose against the competition. So they are rushing towards adapting to sustainable behaviors. But I think, and then it will become normalized. At one point, all of this will become just the way we act, which is fantastic news. Now, we need to bear with it because it's a process, and, the market works in different ways. And this is a wave in which, there is a bit of confusion. There are people that are more genuine than others. But some people, some companies want to attract new investments, so they want money. Some others want to be ahead of the curve because they see this becoming a big thing. Now, for example, so we are coming to a point, as I said, where it will simply be not acceptable not to act sustainably. And that's what the oil companies are doing. They're selling their fossil fuels branches to focus on renewables, which is good news. For me personally, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. There are millions of reasons why you want to be sustainable. If it's just on the ethical argument, that's fantastic. But there are lots of very good economic and marketing reasons for becoming sustainable. For me, what matters is the result. The result is that we have a more sustainable world. And so for me, that's all I need to hear. Next question, considering that the private sector tends to strengthen social and ecological inequalities, is the place of a sustainability practitioner only in the public sector? And I would say absolutely not. First of all, public sector sometimes is actually a bit more clunky and difficult to change, and they're not perfect. The public sector is actually very wasteful because, again, it's difficult to adapt. It's not an agile sector. So I wouldn't say that's the perfect place for a sustainability practitioner. Of course, there are companies, as I said before, that in the private sector only look for growth, but there are equally a lot of startups or even big companies. Of course, Patagonia, of course, Innocent Drinks, etc. They really focus their vision and their ethos and their targets on sustainability. So it's not all bad, absolutely not all bad. And as a sustainability practitioner, if you think about it, you can help companies to do that transition. You can help them see a different way of practicing. That's why strategists, I think, are going to be really important in the future. The doctor needs to cure the ill, not the healthy. So actually, you as a sustainability practitioner, future sustainability practitioner, can find a lot more reward in changing the ways of people that really don't know sustainability, don't understand it. Maybe you need to educate them. Maybe you need to show them the good things in there. Okay. One last question from the questions, and then I'm going to look at the comments. Do you have any recommendations for future sustainability practitioners? Okay. My recommendation would be to follow your curiosity. Understand yourself, so develop a little bit more self-awareness. Understand what you bring to the table, not just your skills, so not just what you studied, but also your strengths, your character strengths, your values, what do you believe in, but also follow your curiosity, your passion, see where that takes you, because the more you're curious, I mean, as I said, the sustainability world is huge. You got so many sectors that it's impossible to know everything. But if you're curious, if you read, if you keep engaged, if LinkedIn is a brilliant tool for that, just to keep your knowledge up and to meet new people, to learn about jobs that you might not even know about, so they didn't know exist. So think outside the box. Engage with others. Like I said before, go to conferences. Now online is so easy. Lots of free, really interesting, good value events happening all the time. But keep your curiosity going, because that will take you to places that you didn't know. But you need to start from a place of confidence. So what can you bring to the table? Why you're different from others? Okay. Let's go back to the questions. For the sustainability education within Industry 5.5, okay, I don't know exactly what this is. Anyway, hello from St. Albans. Hello, Justin. I also have a question. What kind of skills, so both technical and soft skills, would you say are the most sought after for sustainability? Okay. Technical skills, it depends very much on the industry you want to break into. Of course, from the construction industry, which is my direct experience from before, you need to understand buildings, that's obvious. If you want to work in fashion, you need to understand fabrics and materials and the way they're produced. If you work in materials, you need to understand the chemistry of it. So the technical skills depend very, very much on what you want to do next. Of course, it's also helpful to understand how sustainability works in general. So how the systems work, why CO2 is a problem, the basic things that you might actually, unless you studied them, you might not exactly know how they work. Why the ocean is important, why the soil is important, what are the potential solutions for the future. All of these high-level sustainability stuff are really important to understand. Soft skills, communication, I would say is top, number one. I always talk about this. This is what Green Gorilla is all about. So communication. Communication means talking in a way that is assertive, in a way that convinces people, so it has an impact, in a way that is respectful, in a way that is clear. Try and avoid jargon as much as possible. But you also mean listening attentively to what people say, what they have to say to you, what their needs are, what their wants are. And only once you understand others, you can provide the perfect sustainable solution for them. So listening and talking in a certain way are really important. Being organized. A good project manager is important. Sustainability and project management, there are certain things you need to be aware of if you are a project managing a sustainable project, because there will be timing, which will be lifetime timings that you need to consider when usually a project has a beginning and an end. There are other factors like the ethical factor, the supply chains, the environmental impact you need to be aware of. But being organized and understand exactly how to manage a project, I think, and people as well, how to manage people is really important. Being resilient is so important, because we get a lot of setbacks. Let's face it. The world isn't, as I said, unicorns and fairies yet. There are lots of good indications that it's going to be, sustainability is the next big thing. However, we need to be resilient, and we need to develop our capacity to bounce back when we got setbacks. So that's another thing to develop. Selling sustainability, it's connected to communication, but how do you sell sustainability? How do you present it in a way that your customer, your client, even your colleagues can embrace that? By understanding the person you got in front of you. Again, hone your listening skills, think about what they need, and if you develop your emotional intelligence to understand others better, you're going to be much better off when you sell your ideas. Okay, that's in a nutshell, but otherwise get in touch. Green Gorilla does exactly that, teaches these skills. Thank you, James. Happy to hear your voice. Are so sweet. Hello from Malaysia. Great work and speech. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Virginia talks about your transferable skills, and then I think about it is being focused on targeting organizations that share your values and showing them your passion and what they do. Virginia is also right about networking. The power of networking can be huge. It's very active process. Justin, you're absolutely right. I think following the companies that you want to work with or want to learn from is really important. Networking, absolutely fundamental to learn more about the job market. I can't remember what I read, that actually the majority of jobs are not advertised. They're filled by word of mouth. Of course, if you're talking about huge organizations, that might not be the case. But in many, many cases, is who you know, as usual, that gets you to know whether there is an opening in a certain area or in a certain company. Michael asks, can you share some of your successfully realized sustainability project, except of your book, please? Okay, sustainability project. Okay, I need to go back. I worked for a long time at BRE. So BRE is the Building Research Establishment, a big institution here in the UK. Spent 12 years there. And I was in charge of, for a long time, of the technical writing of some of the guidelines of BREEAM, which is the environmental assessment methodology developed by BRE for buildings. And I'm quite proud to say that, for example, we wrote, and I project managed that project and pretty much wrote that, the guidelines for all of the universities in the UK for, to benchmark basically the sustainability of buildings in university campuses, but also for all the healthcare buildings in the UK, which was adopted by the NHS at that time. We're talking a few years back, but that is still in place. So I'm quite proud of that, because I hope that has a big impact on the environmental performance of buildings in these big areas, so higher education and healthcare. I hope that helps. Okay, more questions. How much of an impact, Jay asks, do you think small SMEs can have in positive, sustainable trajectories? I've done my dissertation on the circular economy and found that young entrepreneurs with sustainable products can really be the driving force behind it. Now, I think SMEs, which are, by the way, the majority of the economic force in every country pretty much, have a huge role. Because they rely on illuminated individuals. But even in my experience of working with corporates, who really drives, the sustainability is one or two people that really believe in it and they want to be the driving force. And from there, you find your advocates, you find your champions within teams, and so you can spread the knowledge and you can spread the passion as well. So I think small SMEs, because of the number, because of the mass, can have a huge impact either way. That's why it's actually an important target for anyone working in sustainability to work with the SMEs. Of course, it's a number game. When you talk to corporates, you might have a bigger impact altogether, while with SMEs, you have to do more work repeatedly. But they definitely have a huge impact, simply because they carry the economy of every country. Let's say, okay, so Justin says, I think it's also interesting to join organizations that are not so interested in sustainability. With the right personality, you can be the catalyst for change. Exactly what I was saying before. So cure the ill, not necessarily the healthy. So otherwise you preach to the converted, okay? Right. What's the one thing you would say to a 10-year-old child to encourage them to be socially and environmentally aware? Right, Mark, I have a 10-year-old. So I know exactly what you mean. I think it's just showing them. It's, you know that. It's by leading by example. When at home, we recycle, we compost. I'm vegan. My children are not vegan, but I serve a lot of vegan food to them just to encourage them to take it up. And I leave them the choice, to be honest, but they see me and they see how passionate I am about sustainability, how we try to do things in a way that is sustainable. We don't use single-use plastic as much as we can, etc. But I show them, and then hopefully they will pick it up. Or I point when I see things that are not right, like, oh, look at this place is littered. Do you think this is right? Asking questions is always a good thing. Maybe it's my way of doing because I'm a coach, but I use that with my children in the first place. I ask them questions and I make them think, and they often arrive to the right conclusion that way. Okay, Michael, happy to have you here. One of the best ways to inspire good and social environmental behavior is by leading by example. Well, there you go. And use stories. That's true. There are lots of stories as well, actually books that you can find that talk about environmental responsibility for children. We're reading a book with my 5-year-old about plants and how plants work, because he's quite keen on information books, as he calls them. So we have done that. We have got this about plants. He's fascinated by how plants can feed us and do a lot of things for us, which I think is a very good seed to plant. Apologies for the pun. Okay, any more questions, guys? Because we've been going on for 40 minutes and my throat is quite dry. But I am happy to share one more thing. And in the meantime, if you have anything else that you want to ask me, please do. I'm gonna hide this because we don't need it anymore. Happy to answer any more questions for another minute or so. But for the early career practitioners, so anyone here who is a graduate that is trying to get into sustainability, on Monday, I'm starting a Green Gorilla Graduate Accelerator program that will help you and support you in becoming that sustainability practitioner you want to be. And we're going to start from understanding yourself, understanding the market, to see how we can combine the things. We look at CV, interview, and all that stuff. So it's a journey. It's a 6 months journey. I made it super affordable, £49 per month, VAT included and everything. So if you know of anyone that can benefit from this, please put them in touch. Underneath, you can see the booking form. But of course, you can go on the website, thegreengorilla.co.uk, to learn more about the program. It's the Green Gorilla Graduate Accelerator program. It's a great thing, I believe. I'm hoping I'm putting in there all my knowledge, all the things I know about the sector, about working with graduates, in my coaching work, in my training, etc. And hopefully it's going to change the life of a few people. So there is still time to book. We're starting on Monday. So get in touch if you want to know more, or otherwise visit the link here or thegreengorilla.co.uk. And with that in mind, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope this was useful to you. I hope, Delphine, you're happy with my answers. And and we'll see you very soon, next week, in fact, on Thursday. If you also, by the way, if you want me to talk about specific things or invite people to speak to me in these lives on a Thursday, do let me know if you have any ideas, because I always love to get fresh ideas about what to talk about in these lives. And of course, I want to be of help and of service to you guys. Have a great afternoon, guys, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.